Okay, so get this. We're going global today.
Global.
Yeah, global. We're talking Gothic, but not just like the usual stuff,
Right.
but how these themes,
Yeah.
like, the spooky, scary stuff, it pops up in different cultures.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And we've got this excerpt that dives into Japan, Africa, Russia. It's going to be a wild ride.
I'm intrigued already.
Right. So,
Yeah.
like, think about it. We all have these, like, fears, anxieties about the unknown, death, the afterlife, things we can't really explain.
For sure, for sure.
But how each culture, like, interprets those anxieties and expresses them through stories and beliefs, well, that's what we're looking at today.
I love it.
Yeah. So before we get too far, let's just, like, make sure we're all on the same page.
Okay.
When we say Gothic, what exactly are we talking about? Like, what are the key elements here?
So you've got your mystery, of course, the terror element, can't forget that.
Right.
Often you see this blurring of the lines between life and death.
Spooky.
Exactly. And then these themes are often really tied to specific places or historical events.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it adds another layer to it, you know?
Totally. So, like, a haunted house with a backstory?
Exactly. It's not just a random ghost. It's a ghost with a grudge.
Okay. So let's start with Japan. This excerpt talks a lot about yurei, these vengeful spirits.
Ah, yes, the yurei.
Yeah, they seem to be, like, front and center in a lot of Japanese ghost stories. What's the deal with them?
Well, yurei are basically spirits who are stuck in the world of the living.
Like, they can't move on.
Right, they're bound by some unfinished business. Something's keeping them tethered here.
So it's not just like they're scary, it's like there's this whole emotional weight to them.
Exactly. It's that lingering sense of something unresolved.
Makes you wonder what they're so upset about.
Well, often it's things like betrayal and justice.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah. And that brings us to The Tale of Oiwa, a classic Japanese ghost story.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, Oiwa, she becomes this iconic, vengeful spirit. And her story really taps into this deep-seated fear of betrayal.
And, like, how that betrayal plays into societal expectations, too.
Right. Absolutely. It makes you think about the cultural understanding of guilt responsibility, even the need for resolution after death.
Wow, that's deep.
Right. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, so Japan is all about ghosts with serious baggage.
It seems that way.
But this excerpt also mentions that in Africa, folklore takes these Gothic themes in a totally different direction.
It does. It's really interesting.
Yeah, like, it's not always about ghosts and hauntings.
Right. In a lot of African traditions, it's more about exploring spiritual forces, curses, moral warnings.
Like cautionary tales.
Exactly. Storytelling becomes this powerful way to transmit knowledge, values, warnings across generations.
Oh, so it's like folklore serving this social function.
Absolutely. It helps people make sense of the world around them, the complexities of community morality, the forces both seen and unseen that shape their lives.
I like that forces both seen and unseen.
It leaves you wondering.
It does. Okay, so speaking of forces, we can't always see. We've got to talk about the Tokoloshe.
Ah, the Tokoloshe.
Like this creature that's kind of hard to pin down.
It is. That's what makes it so compelling.
Right. Like, depending on who's telling the story, it can be a mischievous trickster.
Right, right.
Or something way darker.
It can be a real malevolent entity in some tales.
So are we supposed to be scared of it or just annoyed by it?
I think that ambiguity is part of what makes it so powerful. You know, it represents the uncertainty of life, the things we can't control or fully understand.
And those things can be pretty unsettling.
Absolutely.
All right, last stop on our global Gothic tour, Russia.
Ah, Russia?
They've got this whole blend of religion, superstition, and that classic Gothic fascination with the unknown.
They really embrace it all.
Yeah, it's like they took all the elements and cranked them up to 11.
And their stories are populated with these really unique creatures.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, for instance, you have the domovoi, these house spirits that can be both helpful and harmful.
Wait, so are these like house elves?
In a way.
Okay, so do we want to be friends with them, or are they going to, like, mess with our stuff?
It all depends on how you treat them. Treat them with respect, keep your home tidy, and they'll be protective. But if you neglect them well, they might just make your life a misery.
So good housekeeping equals good spiritual vibes.
Exactly. It ties into that belief that the home is a sacred space needing protection and appeasement.
I can get behind that.
Right.
Okay, but then you have creatures like V from the stories of Nikolai Gogol, and that's a whole other level of terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. V represents something primal, something so alien and terrifying it defies description.
So we're talking like beyond words scary.
Exactly. Google doesn't just describe the creature. He evokes this overwhelming sense of dread, this fear of the unknown that stays with you long after the story is over.
It's like tapping into that fear of things we can't even comprehend.
Precisely. And isn't it fascinating how each culture gives shape to those nameless fears?
It is. It's like we all have the same anxieties, but we express them in different ways.
Exactly. Japan gives us vengeful spirits, Africa explores morality through folklore, and Russia brings these creatures of pure, unadulterated terror.
It really highlights how universal these Gothic themes are.
They're not bound by borders. They're woven into the fabric of cultures worldwide, reflecting those anxieties we all share.
It's like each culture holds up a mirror to those anxieties.
But the reflection is unique, distorted, shaped by their own experiences and beliefs.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So as you're listening to this, think about your own cultural background. What are the creatures that lurk in your cultural shadows? What stories or beliefs reflect those deep-seated anxieties?
It's a question worth pondering.
It is. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Until then.